Hello and welcome back aboard Narrowboat Gentian, where it is my second full weekend aboard the boat, still up in Lincoln, where it will remain until, well, probably mid-April, I suspect, when I will start bringing it down. You may even be watching this in mid-April. There will always be a delay between me filming the videos and the videos being transmitted to give me time to edit them and so on and so forth. But second full weekend, so I've brought some things up that I forgot to bring up last time, or that I realised I needed last time. I brought little green scrubby scourer things for the kitchen. I brought little clip-it things that you can clip round the edge of a bag to hold it together. I brought bio laundry liquid for the loo. No need to buy all those expensive chemicals you put in the cassette toilet. Someone recommended early on my previous narrowboat, use bio laundry liquid. And I did. I used it for 7 years on the old narrowboat. Never had any smells, never had any problem. So seems to do the job. What else have I got? I've got the multimeter again. Always useful to have a multimeter. I've got a, would you call this a socket set? Is this a socket set? These things, you know, that you put on bolts and things. Anyway, brought one of those. I thought it'd be useful to have that aboard the boat. I've also lashed out on a set of spanners. Worth having them aboard the boat. Got some cloths to do a bit of polishing and cleaning with. I've got a new smoke alarm. The boat already had a carbon monoxide alarm. Yes, is that the new one? I think that's a new one I put on board because I bought a new one as well. But I think the battery was expired on the fire alarm, so I bought a new fire alarm which I need to put up. Optical smoke sensor. It says 10-year battery. Doesn't do false alarms, which is good given my level of catering. What else have I brought? Oh yeah, I bought some bits for the throttle control, which needs sorting. I brought some polish. I thought I might have a little go. I know the paintwork needs repainting, but I thought the painting that is there, I might have a go with just seeing how it comes up with a bit of polish, so I brought that. And I've got a pillow for the bed as well, which obviously makes things a lot more comfortable. I've got some tools, and I've got a long list of things I need to check. Where's my checklist gone? Hang on. Yeah, because there were lots of other things that I still needed to sort out. I forgot to, when I was measuring up for solar, actually measure between the handrails. I will use the handrails as part of the mounting assembly for the solar panel, so I need to measure between them so I know how big to make a little crate to put the solar on. I'm going to have another go at finding the inspection hatch at the back because someone says it might be in the toilet. I'm going to have another look at finding the breather tube for the ballast tank because someone says that is in the gas locker at the bow. These are other Sea Otter owners who commented on the previous videos. I also want to stick my head down into the engine bay and work out what the part numbers are for the oil filter, fuel filter, air filter and all that, because I have no spares of those. I don't know when the engine was last serviced, and I would like to give it an oil and filter and, you know, all the basic engine servicing stuff, but I need to know what the part numbers are. I know the engine is a Shire 800, and I tried Googling spare parts for Shire 800, and you know what Google's like sometimes. It just comes up with random stuff that's nothing to do with what you're trying to Google for, and you still don't know whether it's the right part or not. Even when you go to the supplier's website, it just says a load of old nonsense. You're like, well, is this the right part? Anyway, so I need to get an actual part number, I think, and then I will know if I am buying the right thing. So lots and lots of things to do. I want to fix the Morse control. I want to install the tunnel lamp finally. I've also got, this is very exciting, my sister who is making up the curtains. She's made up a couple of them just with very loose stitching to try and see how they look and whether they work, and then if I say yay or nay, she will finish them up. So in fact I'll show you those because I'm really quite pleased with those. There is one of the curtains, that's for the front. There will obviously be two of those. She just made me the one to see what it looks like. Now that one hangs on a sliding track, so it is slightly different from these ones here, which as you can see are on a pole. And what we've done with these is she's made the curtain and we've put some Velcro loops so it can hang over. Now this curtain has 4 Velcro loops and this one has 5 Velcro loops. And I have to say, I think the 5 one sits better when it is folded back. It seems to have the, what would you call these, ruffles, squidges? Anyway, it sits better like that with 5 than this one over here with 4, which just doesn't quite sit back so nicely. Now obviously when shut, this is going to lose the light a bit, but there you go, there we go. They're not blackout curtains. I didn't need them to be blackout curtains, or if I find it's a problem, we can stitch a lining on the other side. But look, actual curtains. Now, you'll notice, of course, being a narrowboat, they dangle in because the slope of the boat is outwards. But the boat already had these little hook things on either side. So I'll run a length of twine between that and the other side. The curtains will dangle down behind it and then be held against the side of the boat. That's an improvement yet to come. But anyway, we have the beginnings of curtains, and that is very exciting because putting a towel up as a curtain, well, it works, but it's not terribly pretty. Whilst I've been away, I charged a local gas-safe boat-registered engineer to come in and change that length of flexible pipe, which he has now replaced with a short length of copper pipe and a different stopcock. Is that the right phrase for it? Tap thing, the turny tap thing, with the splash of yellow that means I can turn the gas off. Anyway, that is now BSS compliant, which is good. It's been a bit of an eventful morning. I have breakfasted and I showered, and somebody had left a pair of their underpants hanging in the shower cubicle, just on one of the little hooks. So I didn't have any tongs handy, so I went to another shower cubicle instead. Hopefully, whoever those are, you go back and get them. I've also managed to slice about 2 millimeters out of my finger here. I was just trying to cut something that I shouldn't have been cutting with a knife, and of course it slipped and it went into my finger. You would not believe the amount of blood that a tiny cut can make on your finger. Now, I have a first aid kit here. I brought one that I had spare out of a car I used to own. I didn't realise I'd still got it. I thought, great, I'll put that on the boat. Did it have in it, in amongst all the bandages and goodness knows what else, did it have a simple plaster for a cut? No. So I had to wrap my finger with some kitchen towel and wait till it stopped bleeding, and it was a gusher, let me tell you. It really was. I've never seen so much blood from such a tiny cut. It seems to have stopped now. So that's all excitement. But I need to get settled on the boat, and the reason I keep using the marina showers instead of the shower on the boat, which I have not yet tried, is because we've had so many cold nights in the last month or two. I didn't want to leave water in the tanks and the pipes on the boat in case it froze and then, thaws and cracks the pipes or whatever. We are now starting to get warmer days. I think it was down to 0 last night, but if it only goes down to 0, I think water in a tank on the boat will be fine. It never used to be a problem on the old narrowboat, so it should be fine. So I'm going to fill up the water tank for the very first time. That is the hole to fill the water tank. And there is my stock standard garden hose. It's the one I used to have on narrowboat Rayland. And no, I'm not going to worry about plastics leaching and all that sort of stuff. It's absolutely fine. There is an immediate problem. It turns out the tool I have for opening the fuel filler cap is too big to open the water filler cap. And there is no other tool aboard. I think this calls for a trip to the marina office. A few moments later, and they have provisioned me with 2 types. This one, which is a bit like a knuckle duster, actually. You could do some damage to someone with that, but you've got a flat end, you've got a knobbly end, and you've got a thing with something on it for something I don't know. And then there's also just a little tiddly one, which is slightly shorter than the previous one I had. So let's see which one works and which one I like the look of. That doesn't fit. Okay. That also doesn't fit, goodness me, but it's got a flat end, which does. So we're going with the knuckle duster. It's got a chain on it to stop you losing it, that is sensible. And I can actually see some water down there. I thought that was emptied. Anyway, no, that's not terribly good. I don't think that's fully connecting on that, is it? Oh, for crying out loud. I have connected to a different one, which so far is holding. As the hose reel has been in my garden shed for 2 years, probably best to let it have a bit of a rinse through, try and refill the marina a bit. Ah, there we go. think we're coming through to the fresh tap water now. While that is running, I might, since I'm here, have a look for that mysterious breather tube from the ballast tank, which is apparently in the gas locker. There is the gas locker. There is my tank of gas, but where is that what's that down at the bow? Well, I've had a good peek around and there is nothing even remotely resembling a vent pipe from the ballast tank, so I don't think it comes up under there. What I did find was the anchor with a length of chain attached, so I've stretched it out to see how long the chain is, because you do need a certain length, and it's not terribly long. That is going to need 2 or 3 times the length of chain of rope added to the end of that to serve any useful purpose as an anchor. I didn't start a stopwatch, but the water tank is still filling. I think it's quite large. A few minutes later, and you can't help but start thinking, I hope that's actually filling the tank, and not simply going into the tank and then emptying out into the bilges or something. Especially since I haven't found that bilge inspection point yet. You may recall from a previous video that the instructions for the boat say there's an inspection hatch underneath that step. There is not. Someone in the comments suggested that if you go into the toilet and look under the cupboard, there is an inspection hatch there. There is not. There is a tiny bit of visibility where the pump for the shower connects to the shower tray, which is better than nothing, but it's not an inspection hatch. This is the backing plate for the new fire alarm I've bought, and rather splendidly, it's pretty much exactly the same as the one that used to be here, so I can just put the new alarm straight onto that. It just pushes on and twists on, so that is good. It is mildly going to annoy me that it's wonky, but that's how the base plate was, and when you screw the front on, it's like that, and no, I can't turn it round anymore or to a different position. It comes out wonky the other way. However, it's on. I just pressed the test button and it works. Great excitement. I heard gurgling. I think we might be nearly full. Yep, nearly there. Just give it a little bit of a burp. There we go, burping the baby. Helps get the air out. Right at the top, and I'm now going to leave it and see if that goes down in any way on its own, other than I suppose it might do from the rocking. I shall have to finish burping it. I think while I've got the hose here, I might just swill out this well deck a bit. It's got quite a few leaves and bits of muck in it, so I'll just give it a quick rinse. Okay, it's time for a little stock take, I think. I feel exhausted. It's about 1:30. I got up extremely late and I seem to have been running around doing all sorts of things. The water filling didn't go as smoothly as I showed you when I first connected my hose to the tap. The adapter thing that turns it from a threaded tap to a hose lock tap snapped off in the pipe and I had to go and buy a new one. Anyway, I couldn't be bothered to show you all that. But it's been one of those things, what with cutting my finger open and everything. What have I managed to do then? I have put on the curtains and ascertained that they are good. I've measured up for if I want twin solar panels instead of one big solar panel, and reached the conclusion it would simply be the same as the measurements for the big solar panel divided by 2. Yeah, call me a genius. I've tried again to find the inspection hatch to the bilge. It does not seem to exist on this boat. I've tried again to find the breather tube, just for curiosity's sake, for where the ballast tank fills up. No sign of that either. Haven't yet worked out the oil, fuel and air filter part numbers. And checked the gas piping under the cooker, filled the water tank with water. How can that have taken up 3 hours? Just that little set of things, and a bit of unpacking and a bit of breakfast and so on. It is a lovely day, possibly too late for me to head out anywhere. I've got a couple more things to do. I might just chill for the rest of the day, I think. Certainly it's time for some lunch. It is now 4:15 in the afternoon. I've just spent the last hour and a half, 2 hours, fiddling about with the throttle adjustment, trying to sort that. It may or may not make another video, which may or may not have come out by the time you see this. There's an awful lot of faffing about, and I'm not sure it makes an awful lot of sense as a video, but I'll see if I can turn it into something. That's if I have indeed solved the problem, which I'm not entirely sure about. However, while I've got the deck boards up, it's an opportunity to have a look for those oil and air filter and fuel filter numbers. Now, saying that, that is a very clean air filter. So that is obviously fairly recent. There's the part number, and it just goes into here. There's a push fit into here with a cap on the end, and then it all straps down with a little strap. So that's easy enough to sort. The fuel filter is here. That's easy enough to get to. The oil filter is under here, it turns out, just where I've been fiddling about with the throttle cable. Accessible by hand but invisible, which is slightly frustrating. It's a lovely peaceful evening at the marina. Very pleasant. Very quiet, sun just going down over there. Before I give up for the day, I was hoping perhaps to put the tunnel light on and make use of the existing mount. Obviously there's the electrics, that's easy. There's a mount, there's a light with a hole through the bottom. Does that fit that? No, it does not. It's too long. So I'll have to take that home, attack it with the multi-tool. You know how I like attacking things with the multi-tool, and chop half of that cylinder off. It's only a cylinder through which the bolt goes. It's only plastic, so chop that off, stick it in there, and then it will fit. Also, I can't help but notice this mount is actually tilted slightly towards the left. It should be up towards the right, so it's pointing up at the side of the tunnel, not any oncoming boaters, but there's a bolt here. And if that's not too stuck with paint, if I loosen that, I should be able to turn the bracket round and point it that way instead. That is a task for another day now. At that point, I gave up and went to the pub for supper, because I couldn't be bothered to cook, and it was warm in there. Good morning. It is another absolutely beautiful day, and after a very decent night's sleep, I have to tell you, one of the best things I've bought for the boat was that double duvet, just from Tesco, high tog. I can't remember the exact number, but it is so comfortable and warm. It's absolute bliss climbing in there. Anyway, I am well rested. It's a lovely day, and so the time has come to take I nearly said Twiggy then, Gentian, Narrowboat Gentian, on its first, for me, cruise up the canal. And I'm not going to go far. I'm going to go to Lincoln. It's only about 2 miles away. 2 miles there, 2 miles back. So that's about an hour and 20, hour and a half total run time. Just enough to see how it goes and see how it feels steering a narrowboat again. However, first things first, breakfast. Cinnamon and raisin bagels with jam and a cup of tea. Delicious. Then I took the boat out on its first cruise. I've already published the video to that one. It was the one before this. I'll leave a link to it in the video description below. By the time I got back, I was very tired, so I had a lovely nap. And then when I woke up, I decided to get to grips with all the electronics on the boat, so I poked my head into the electronics cupboard and tried to work out what everything was doing. And that was pretty much it for the weekend. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Cheerio.